what we have here, another talk video. Oh, and what we have to talk about this week? Just kidding. You already know what we're going to talk about. You saw it in the opening sequence. It's Star Wars Tales of the Underworld. You guys already know the deal. We're going to talk about the characters first, then talk about the show itself. So, who's with me on this one? It'll be quick, I promise. First up, we have Asajj Ventress. She's a veteran of the Clone Wars, a former apprentice of Count Dooku. She was fiercely loyal to him and was devoted to the cause of the Confederacy of Independent Systems, the Sith, and their plan to eradicate the Jedi. She seemingly wasn't fully aware of what the grand design... Look, Kevin Feige, I'm gonna bring you up eventually, just not now, okay? Anyway, she died in a canonical book, but because she's so beloved by the fan base and her character has so much potential for more storytelling in the Star Wars universe, unlike Luke, Han, Leia, Anakin, Padme, Lando, Baze, Chirrut, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, General Grievous, the Kaleesh, Aayla Secura, Quinlan Vos, Ahsoka. Okay, I went too far with that one. She was brought back and her adventures are set to continue as we explore her life as a fugitive of some sort. How did she come back? Somehow. She goes on a journey of self-discovery, finding a purpose in life, and it becomes clear that it was meant to guard a survivor of Order 66. Yes, we have yet another one, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, Ventress has turned over a new leaf this time around. She's considerate, deadly, sarcastic, and has something of a dry wit. Then we have Ventress' little helper, Lyko. He's a survivor of Order 66 on the run from the Empire. He joins up with Ventress after a very weak attempt to leave the planet she was in. Ventress was working as a security in a probably less than legal travel agency. He showed up and wanted to travel but didn't have enough money, so he tried using a Jedi mind trick. It failed, and then he made it obvious that he was hiding from stormtroopers, which gave the owner of the place the brilliant idea of selling him out. Ventress then rescued him. Seriously, I don't know how this guy made it that far without being killed. Anyway, he stayed with her and they heard of a place where Jedi go when they want to find a safe haven from the Empire that's run by none other than Quinlan Vos. We heard about it in the Obi-Wan show. Lyko is very Padawan-like. He has the basic skills of a Jedi, but they're far from refined, and he often forgets just how outmatched he is in every situation that he finds himself in. He tries to help but is always outmatched. He does help though, but not in the way that he intends to. Next up, Cad Bane. He's a Duros bounty hunter. This show takes us back to his childhood. He was a street urchin who got into the life of crime after a high-profile criminal known as Laszlo recruited him and his friend Nero. They did a job for Laszlo and then Nero got caught and Cad had to leave him behind. Oh yes. Cad didn't go by Cad Bane at that time. His real name is Cole Bane. He changed his name when he officially became a criminal. He's his usual self in the show, resourceful, skilled, deadly, selfish. He's a very detestable person. The show made no attempt to deconstruct him. It just showed more of what he was. Then finally we have Nero, Cad Bane's childhood friend. Nero was an innocent soul caught up in the tough streets of Duros. He joined Laszlo's criminal activities but then got caught and turned his life around as he grew up. He became a law enforcer and eventually became the deputy marshal. His promotion came when he became marshal after Bane killed him. That murder leads to Bane's arrest and Nero takes Bane's girl. It's a story full of twists and turns, but it's a complete one. He's the one who stayed in the light. He's the one who made the good choices in life and tried to stay in line. Unfortunately, destiny doesn't reward niceties. It works for itself. So, on to the show. The show's animation is stunning. The stories are well told. The The characters are explored well. That's usually how it goes with Dave Filoni's work on Star Wars. But there's always the same question that comes up with these recent projects. Simplifying them all, we can just use one word. Why? Why was it necessary to bring Ventress back from the dead? Why was it necessary to have yet another survivor of Order 66 who's going to live past the original trilogy and possibly into the sequels, but never appeared in, was mentioned in, or was even hinted at existing in the original trilogy? Why did we need to see Cad Bane's origin? He's been dead for years, and the death was so underwhelming that I'm sure many people even forgot it happened until they watched this show. Why give him a son? Why does Dave Filoni continue to label these Tales shows as anthologies if they're actually telling complete stories rather than short stories that don't necessarily build up to anything? Come on, man. Look, I know it may seem like a harsh thing to ask, but why does it always have to be like this? Why can't we just push the story forward instead of trying to fill in the gaps? I get it with The Mandalorian, although I think that's a very poor show to fill gaps in with, but at least it's something set in the right time period for exploration. I don't mean to mock the work though. A lot of heart was put into making this show. I can see it. But the thing is, it becomes formulaic at some point. We need a switch up every once in a while. And while I understand that Dave Filoni is the best thing to happen to modern Star Wars and he makes the best work out of everyone and all those other things that internet people like to say, it's good to leave a few things in the hands of other people. Animation is looked down upon for the sole reason that it's mostly aimed at children. Fine, we can leave things at that. Star Wars is full of adult fans who don't mind animation. I'm an adult fan who doesn't mind animation either. The characters go through incredible arcs. We get to see more of what Bane's life was like, and it's explored in a very dark, very mature way. I like how he wasn't shown to have a heart of gold or be an innocent person who was caught up in the Underworld's life and felt like he had no choice but to continue. He just stayed in that life because he enjoyed it. He joined that life because he enjoyed it. There's nothing more to it than that. And that's okay. I love that for the character. That was brilliant subversion of common tropes. Hats off to you, Dave Filoni. That was an intentional pun, ladies and gentlemen, I assure you. Ventress' arc is the one I found to be the least impressive between the two. She goes on a very tropey arc and it gets tired. In the very first episode, I lost interest and started using my phone while the episode was just background noise. I mean, come on, seriously? You could have come up with something a bit more interesting, like her wrestling with the memories of her sisters dying. Maybe have her assemble a crew so that they can fight Sidious after she somehow finds out that he's Count Dooku's master, so she wants to destroy everything Dooku was building towards, which is what Sidious has brought to life now. Call it a misguided, misinformed, maligned search for vengeance. You know what else could have been done with her? She joins Darth Maul in establishing his criminal empire, and then parts ways with him when she finds out that he's not really interested in taking revenge on Sidious, but just wants to rule the underworld. We then find out that he's actually working on some other way of undermining Sidious's empire. That's why she's not in Star Wars Rebels. Remember, everyone, if you think she's going to die before that, Star Wars Resistance was going to have her appear in it. That show is set during the events of the sequel trilogy, and people will use that fact as an excuse to justify her surviving all the way until that period. The whole, they were gonna do it anyway, so they just did it a bit differently excuse. Ventress had the potential for some really cool introspective storytelling, but she just fell under the same old story of bad guy turns over a new leaf and takes on the exciting, bubbly sidekick that belongs to the people they used to fight and they become friends storyline. Aside from the animation, which is out of this world, seriously, the animators deserve so much respect for the beautiful visuals in this show. They kept getting better with every show they made. I just wish that they had this combination of budget and talent for Star Wars Rebels. The show would have been so much revered than it already is. Aside from the animation, the voice acting and the story are good. I must be honest about it. As much as I criticize the story, it is good. The way the characters are handled is respectful. No one is out of character. No one is disrespected. Every action counts. That's the way a story should be. That's how we deal with stories now. I'm glad I was born at a time when I can watch and fully appreciate shows like Tales of the Underworld. Dave Filoni has made something memorable with this one. However, as usual, I have a few talking points. Filoni's work is becoming uniform, and that's an issue that needs to be addressed before he suffers from burnout. So far, he has worked on The Clone Wars, even though George Lucas did most of the heavy lifting in terms of story, but that's a story for another day. Rebels, The Clone Wars Season 7, The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Underworld, The Mandalorian and Grogu, and as we speak, The Darth Maul Show. That's a lot of work for one person. The brand of diverse stories becomes uniform. He needs to start delegating some of these projects to other people. I would like to suggest Jendi Tartakovsky, creator of Samurai Jack and Clone Wars. He has worked on a Star Wars project before and knows his way around animation. All of his work is critically acclaimed and he is highly respected by audiences. I'm sure if you give him one of these shows you're working on or a new animated show, he'll accept the responsibility. And if you don't develop uh, creative differences with him as he's devising the story, we can have cool Star Wars shows from two very talented creators. I've been seeing a lot of critique against Dave Filoni these past few months here on YouTube, and I'm sure the main reason isn't his obsession with Ahsoka or his tendency to ignore or contradict established things in canon, but his work tends to become uniform, and that leads to predictability. He's stretched thin, and it's starting to show. He needs to start getting new showrunners for the animation department. Jendi Tartakovsky is a good start. It may sound like a stretch, but I think Childish Gambino. Wait, I heard he doesn't call himself that anymore. Uh, Donald Glover would be a good showrunner for an animated series too. What we saw from his ideas for Deadpool were amazing, and he's a Star Wars movie alumni. He knows his way around Lucasfilm, at least to a small degree. I'm sure he could make a cool Underworld show, or he could just turn that Lando movie or series into an animated series. There are many other options out there, but these two should be at the top of the list for sure. Come on, Lucasfilm, do something. The most amazing impact that these shows have on me is giving me different ideas of how to carry them out. I like that. Star Wars is one of the things that got me into storytelling. I will forever be grateful to Star Wars for existing. I will forever be grateful to George Lucas. I love the brand, and despite it having very low lows, there is no Rise of Skywalker in Ba Sing Se, I still believe that you can revitalize something. Yes, even this can be salvaged with good storytelling going forward. In fact, if Lucasfilm were to pay attention to me, I have a very nice show that can be used to do just that, planned out, that will satisfy both critics and fans. If anyone knows how I can get in touch with Lucasfilm, leave a comment or send a message to us. We have Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Anyway, that's all I can say about the show. It isn't much, but it's something. The show wasn't much either. It was Star Wars content that was well produced. In the meantime, while we wait for more of our content to come out on this channel, please check out our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and our blog. We have a lot of stuff to show you all, and we need all the support we can get. Have a good day.